it could be hard to see that it's thought based, um, because and I wouldn't have told you it was thought based at the time because they weren't. It wasn't necessarily manifesting as conscious thoughts that I was aware of. It's operating on a deeper level that I take to be me. Like I'm operating in the way I think that I am, but really it's competing belief and thought systems bouncing around controlling my behavior. But I don't see any of it, and it appears to be me moving freely and reacting in the world, but it's not the case at all.
And it continues to be, correct?
Yeah, to a lesser degree with awareness.
Okay. So then let me ask you this then. So with awareness, right? The question of freedom, which we touched on last time with Krishnamurti's quotes, you know, we're not actually free because any thought that arises is contained by our own conditioning. But in awareness, in being itself, is freedom.
Well, so what does he mean by freedom, and what do you mean by freedom?
Let's talk about it. I don't actually know. To me, it feels like when I say freedom, I'm talking about an absence. I'm talking about a spacelessness, absence of being. And as I continue to watch, the unknowable, ultimate expressive creativity that manifests as this unknowing.
So what is freedom in relation to, because we're talking about the character moving through the world. Those are freedom, because like I imagine most, people listening are going to be wondering about that. For me, seeing I have these thought systems, what is freedom?
In the world.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think there actually is freedom in the world. But I think there's freedom in yourself.
So there's not actually freedom from, there's not
Like,
freedom as the character that's jostled by these beliefs, but there is freedom in seeing that you're not the character.
well, let's go back to what we're defining freedom as. Like, and
Yeah.
your freedom may be different than my freedom, but my freedom is what I just shared. Like, my freedom is in the moment, feeling completely. My freedom is what I just shared. The absence of me and a complete enamorment or absorption in the ultimate creativity of this moment. To me, that's freedom. That's what I got from drugs. That's what I got from
Hmm.
high meditative states of awareness where everything's happening on its own. Freedom is just a complete enamorment of what is. That's, and I want to say that because I don't have the freedom to right now. If I decide to stop working for my family's company and stop going to the warehouse, I actually can't do that. I like my body and my mind and the character and the idea that I think doing that would create freedom is absurd. I've tried it in my past with all sorts of stuff. I've left the company hundreds of times. I've tried to get away from my own fate, my own destiny, my own calls and duties. I've tried everything I possibly could to gain freedom in the material world, and it never worked.
Yeah.
So I actually can't do anything in the material to create a sense of freedom for myself.
Yes. Um, yeah, and that would be confirmed by someone's experience. Yeah, someone would have to hear that and then look at their life and then see. And someone might not be aware of it yet, but maybe now they can be. One would look back and say, wait a second. Yeah, I've tried this. I left this job. I left this person. I moved to this place. I made this change. And then I think if you're old enough, so me, I need a lot of evidence to be convinced of something. So it's only now in my late 30s, it's like that I have enough evidence of this stuff that I can believe what I'm seeing. If I was like 20, you know, there's not enough evidence for someone like me to be convinced. But yeah, someone can look back and see they've done all these things, and yet here they are still trying to solve the same problems. Here I am still not quite happy where I am. Here I am still not knowing who I am. Here I am still anxious about, still feeling anxiety. What the anxiety is attached to has changed shape as I've moved around and made changes, but that I'm dependent on external circumstances to feel okay hasn't changed in the slightest. So that's okay. That's what I equate with freedom. Is not being dependent on the financial market, the U.S. government, what some asshole with a nuclear missile is saying, what I don't know, what my boss is saying, not being dependent on those things to feel okay.
Wow.
On a moment-to-moment basis. So like that's maximum asleepness. That's maximum bondage. Is people, a stranger can walk up to me and ruin my day. That's slavery. That's not living. That's absurd. But I think a lot of us live that way. Like the line at Starbucks is too long. I feel shitty now, and I'm going to be an asshole to every coworker I see until lunchtime. That's
Wow.
absolute bondage to thoughts, random feelings. Like it's all happening automatically, and you're just getting carried along for the ride. Freedom is those things can happen, and it doesn't affect you. Or if it does affect you, you see the feeling come up, and then it ends 2 seconds later, because that's all it is. Fear and anger rise up, but they only last about a second unless you start feeding it. A fear response is a logical response to something that seems like a threat, but if the threat is immediately seen to not be a threat, the fear should go away. But if we fan the idea that this thing is a threat, the fear stays. I get angry. Like kids will like hit each other in the face and get angry for 2 seconds or cry, and then they've forgotten about it 10 seconds later. But an adult will contemplate murder for the next 4 weeks and possibly actually commit it, and then go to prison the rest of their life because a stranger had that much power over their mental state. So I think we're talking about freedom from that.
Shoot.
And I think there are levels to it, but I think that's the basic level people are interested in.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely took what I proposed and like it feels like shat all over it in the best way ever, because I think the freedom I was describing was a feeling. That's not what freedom is. If freedom from is what you're describing. You're describing freedom from all these objects that cause me to continue to create stress, tension, anxiety, and pain in my own life. Self-generated, lowercase self, like if I take the line at Starbucks, if I'm affected by that and it's harmful to me, it has power over me. I am not free. What?
You're a robot.
Dang, dude.
Predictable reaction. You're supposed to, like, Anthony de Mello says stuff like this, but like, yeah, you've been programmed to get angry if the line is long. You've been told it's a bad thing. If no one ever told you waiting in line was a bad thing, you just wait in line.
Dude, there's people in Japan that like they love a good line. Like there's actually like line goers.
Yeah, it could even be, it's like a lot of the stuff that bothers us is just cultural too.
Dude, we made a huge joke out of it during Wrath of the Lich King when we were in line to play Wrath of the Lich King for 8 hours a day. It was like Q Quest 2022. Like half of the fun of that was not being able to play.
And yeah, that can either make someone very angry, or you can see the fun in it.
Wow, that's so
Like,
interesting.
the event itself doesn't contain your reaction.
Okay, so
You,
so what you're saying is your definition of freedom is actually freedom from.
I mean, that's my working definition right now.
Because
Because
you're
that's
it's not saying that you can't consciously generate any emotional state you want. You would think that would be ultimate freedom. That would be heaven, right? You could consciously generate. You could be the queen on the chessboard. That's what you would think freedom is.
yeah, no, because that's still bondage to needing to feel a certain way. So you've still elevated feelings to having ultimate power. And if that's your ultimate level of attainment is I can feel however I want, you're still in bondage to how you feel.
Or
That
I
just shows
can
you're
I
not
can
free.
or I can move however I want, or I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, then your idea of freedom is bound up with is doing what I want means I'll be okay. Feeling how I want means I'll be okay. That's the bondage we're talking about. That's why the line has to be a certain length. Otherwise, it'll affect my feelings. And if something affects my feelings, I need those to be arranged a certain. It's like so. I think that's the kind of one of the core shifts that needs to take place is that the idea that I have to feel a certain way to be okay has got to go. The idea I need to be able to do certain things to be okay, that's got to go. The idea that I need to have certain things to feel okay or be okay needs to go. Otherwise, all of those are going to control your okayness. Um, and I mean, that's kind of what I'm interested in and that's maybe like peace, okayness, freedom. It's kind of like the same aspects of the same thing. Because like a temporary feeling is not what I'm searching for. It's not what people actually want, I don't think. Because like, a burst of happiness comes and goes, the fear comes and goes, the infatuation with the new car comes and goes. But all of that's attempting to mask or treat the feeling of general not okayness. If someone was just okay, there would be no seeking or a particular concern for uh, that kind of stuff. Is that, I don't know.
Yeah, you wouldn't need to change your state in any way. You wouldn't like so like the what I'm picturing in my mind is being completely jade out on a stoop. Like I'm
Well,
completely jade out on a stoop, okay? I don't if I'm missing a leg it doesn't matter. If I can't speak, if I don't have a sense of smell, it doesn't matter. If I'm getting late or not, it doesn't matter. I'm completely content and completely okay with whatever it is that's happening.
essentially, that's what we're seeking, I think. But that's the only way most people know how to find it is through control of environment, ownership, or uh, directly through chemical usage.
Dang.
But it's actually much cheaper and much um, easier and maintainable um, to just drop the things you're dependent on. Although it seems harder, um, but that's because you're a little baby. Like Anthony de Mello, again, like this is kind of, I feel like he's the king of this topic. But here's the question for you: would you rather be happy or be wealthy? Would you rather be okay or have $10 million? Would you rather uh, be the boss of the company or be happy?
Mm. Yeah,
Would you
man.
be would you be willing to accept you get to be totally okay and happy or content? Happiness, I don't know about that word. Totally okay, but you're a bum and people look down on you. No, people don't approve of you, but you feel okay. Would you take the trade? I think most people wouldn't.
That's
People
a
don't want.
that's a yeah, that's a tough one.
That's kind of
That's a
the
tough
twist.
that's a tough one for me to think about for other people. Like it's an easy answer for me.
Yeah, but I think, but I'll get sucked into that mindset sometimes. That sometimes it's hard to choose. Like man, I really do want to be a successful music artist.
Yeah, learning how to accept that and still be okay when you know that you're not going to be okay unless you get or it's hard to say. How do I say this? Accepting that you want to be a successful musician while knowing that you're okay regardless of what happens.
Yes,
That's
we want
it's a
the thing
toggle.
because we think it'll make us okay. So it's like we're putting the cart before the horse. Um, like we've forgotten why we wanted the thing in the first place because we think we need it to be okay when we can just start with being okay. Like we're not okay because we've delayed our okayness for a future date once this attainment has happened, which never happens because it always shifts to the next thing I need. It's the next promotion. It's the next pay increase. It's the next vacation.
So
It's the yeah.
here comes the next thought, okay? Because Brad says, "I think I'd take the 10 million." Okay? And I've known Brad my whole life. What happens if you're already okay and that option is presented?
I mean, if you're already okay, do whatever you want.
Oh, so then Brad can have the 10 million?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, okay.
But if the option is between are you trading your okayness for 10 million? That's what I'm saying.
Oh, right. Brad, you got would you trade your okayness for the 10 million? Cuz you've been okay ever since I've known you, bro.
Yeah. How much
You've
is it?
been pretty a-okay, bro.
Yeah. Would you trade it? I think people are making that trade on a daily basis and they don't realize it.
Wow.
Like people want to be you want to be angry at the line taking a long time. You don't want to drop it. You want to be angry about it.
But what is it that wants to be angry? Like, why? So this is what I don't understand. I've had so many therapists, so many sponsors, so many mentors in my past, not recently, luckily, not for the last like 5 years, but in my 20s, always telling me like, you want to be sad. You actually are enjoying this depression or this is something you actually want. What is
Yeah.
that? I still don't think that's what I definitely didn't want that.
Um,
What is that?
I mean, I can tell you, I did want to be sad, um, because I don't know. There was a comforting and familiar quality to it. Um, I,
I hated it. I wanted so badly not to be that way.
yeah, well, me too. But the reality is, I liked it somehow.
Yeah, the
But
closest I could say is the closest thing I can tell is it's just this illusion of a me that that was like needed to exist. Like I thought I was a real person. I thought my feelings and thoughts mattered. I thought that those things were of utmost importance. Like it was just I was asleep as a person. That's the only thing I can point to as being a reason for it. I wanted
I,
out of that, and I didn't know how to get out of it.
I think, except in the case where it's purely, really, truly just a chemical imbalance, like a physiological thing. Um, what I'm seeing is like the the sadness or whatever it is produced by our beliefs. And I think that's we're producing it. What we believe is producing it in us. Um, we've got a value system and a belief system that's causing the sadness because we've got things we believe we need that we don't have, and there's things we believe that aren't okay that are happening. Um, because you can here's the thought experiment, and we know this is true. If you dropped another person into your exact circumstances, they wouldn't have the same emotional reaction. Some wouldn't care, some would be sad, some might thrive. um Probably a lot would might be neutral. um it's I mean, the line at Starbucks, not everyone's going to get, some people are going to love the few minutes break. Some people are going to chat with someone else in the line. Some are going to get angry. Some are going to think about how sad they are. um
That's a good point.
Sadness becomes a habit. Like it's I think all of these lingering or long-term emotions require constant reinforcement through repeating why I'm sad, why I'm angry, why I'm afraid, why it's not okay, which is proof that these things aren't real, because what's real doesn't need me to constantly affirm its existence with thoughts and words. If it's real, it's just there. It doesn't need me to continue the story about it every day. But the giveaway is when you don't continue the story, it tends to disappear.
Right. Well, so what you just said is, I think a lot of people would miss, because when you say the word real, people think the feelings and the thoughts are the real things.
Yeah, I thought about this morning. So like, how do we define real? There's a million ways, but in the context of this conversation, we would say real is how about let's try this out. Real is anything that doesn't take thought to sustain. Like if the human mind disappeared from the planet, would this thing remain? If the answer is no, clearly it's not real. It's real in our experience, but like so is a dream. The dream makes us afraid or whatever. We fall in love in a dream. Does that mean it was real? I mean, it's real in that that experience happened, but no one would say a dream's real in the same way you can. I don't know. I mean,
Dude,
that kid's
that's great. I think it's great. I think what you just said is great. I mean, it's hard to it's you got to be able to exist in both of these spaces, because you could slap me in the face and I could say that really happened, that hurt. It's over now, so it's not real anymore. The pain is lingering and reverberating through this bot. Like, that's still real, but now it's gone again. So there's this double. Uh,
well, let's talk. So if someone comes up and slaps you in the face, you feel pain or whatever. Um, but then in the action of being slapped and the lingering feelings, none of that contains information about who hit me or that I was hit. There's just sensations, there's just action, there's just facts. There's a mental story, Joe did this. And then it gets more and more twisty. I think his motivation is this. This is what this says about me. So now we've got 8 layers affirming that Joe's an asshole and I'm worthless. But that's all, like, I'm not saying that's true or not true, but we can see that's a mental projection onto a factual, a real occurrence that doesn't actually contain that information within it. That requires a mental projection to sustain the story.
And here's the kicker. Potentially all those things exist already before even being hit.
Yeah, you
Like
already have a belief about yourself and the other person. So it's just affirming, it affirms what you already believe. So that's a neutral event happens, it becomes evidence for our worldview, whatever our worldview is. Or it gets filtered out as not important to the worldview. I don't know. I think this could go infinite directions. I think it's kind of getting muddy
I think
because I'm
it's
not.
great. This is amazing. This is like my kind of stuff here because I think I've been trying to understand why I've got a an attraction to this type of material, why I tend to be able to see things that other people can't see. Like if I try to explain what you're describing to somebody, they're going to glaze out and not give a shit at all. People do not care what we're talking about. Like the hope is, and it's a lingering hope, like the hope is through sharing this and producing this type of content will attract people that want to talk about what we want to talk about. That's really all this is. Because I don't, if I were to watch, I can't talk to anyone about this stuff. They're not interested.
No.
And so I've been thinking about like, what is it about this stuff that separates you or me or Brad or anybody else who is interested from other people? And I don't know what it is, but from what I can tell with myself, it seems to be an ability or an aptitude to really recognize through my attention, through the muscle of attention or the muscle of discernment, what is going on a moment by moment basis. I can hold my concentration or my attention is pretty sharp. Like in the sense that I have the bandwidth or the willingness to be as completely in the moment as I possibly can. And doing that allows me to see what you just described. Doing that allows me to recognize the stories that my brain is creating, the effect of physicality on my body, noticing how it moves through the body and expresses itself outwardly as a gasp or a thought. Like, because I can pay attention to the moment, which is something that a lot of people might not have the ability to do. And that's why guided meditation, that's why groups, that's why teachers and discords, because having someone do the thinking out loud can help train the ability to perceive it in some way.
So, so you're talking about like the ability to see this stuff?
Yeah, I'm talking about why is it like not why is it like you said everything you just said makes complete sense to me, recognizing what's real versus what's not real.
But probably for most people listening, I feel like they would hear what I'm saying. They're gonna have a strong negative reaction because that's total bullshit. These things are absolutely real. Um, the thoughts, like you said, thoughts and feelings are real. The story is real. So like I think what's necessary is that you have to have seen something other than life filtered through thought in order to recognize. It's like you can't. You have to have seen something else in order to recognize the thing. Um,
Or you could feel like something's missing in your life or you're not seeing something or you could feel like
yeah,
this.
but that doesn't mean you'll see it. That just might drive you towards finding it. Um, so I knew like at an early-ish age, probably not when I was a kid, but once I became a teen and started being able to like question the world consciously and stuff, and I started becoming introspective, I had the sense that, and this could just be, immaturity and kind of a childish arrogance or whatever, and just a teen thinking he knows anything, which I don't think anybody knows anything until they're like mid-20s. Um, that's probably not true, but I just feel like I'm talking to a larva.
It isn't because all the babies you described through the course of this episode didn't know shit but knew more than us by not
Yeah,
knowing anything.
yeah. So, I had this sense when I was like a teen or something that I felt like well, this sounds so generic. I felt like I was the only one who knew what was going on. Like honestly, I didn't know anything, but I felt like, oh, I know how the world works. No one else does all this stuff. But which I think kids just feel that kind of stuff. But um, I did have this sense that, like when I started, using a ton of drugs, getting in trouble, and then I started going to treatment centers when I was like 15, 16, older, like 19, 20 or whatever. Um, and I had the sense that like I almost like I was conscious in a way that other people weren't. Um, and I don't know if that's true or not, but that was kind of a sense I had, especially when I was 15 or 16. Like I'm talking to people my age, and it felt like I was talking to almost like a child. Um, like I saw stuff a different way than other people. It didn't mean I was wise. It didn't mean like I didn't have the experience to truly know anything, but it felt like I just kind of saw through something that other people didn't see. Like I saw there's just like a layer that I saw through. Um, and that could just be what teenagers feel. I don't know, but um,
I mean,
and then
it's just to relate to what you're saying. Like I always felt like, I mean, I spent a lot of time examining solipsism. Like I really did. Like the Matrix made sense to me. Like it will, or not the Matrix, but like I felt like I was the only one. There's been times in my life where it was like, am I the only one that's real? And but I can also tell you, like this week, I haven't had that thought until just now. So I would propose. I think I had that thought a lot and acted out of that thought a lot through my life.
I had the
That's why you get upset when somebody doesn't understand how you feel. I used to get upset when people didn't understand where I was coming from.
it's upsetting to me too, particularly because it takes a lot of effort for me to communicate things sometimes. And so when someone doesn't understand what I'm communicating, I don't even like saying stuff in the first place. And if someone doesn't understand what I'm saying or have to explain, I'm like, I don't even know. But um,
But that's what it's like to be a person.
yeah,
The person, like Adam, needs to be understood, but who I really am doesn't give a shit.
yeah,
So if I can drop this person, if I can drop, that's a weird thing because if you're dropping the person, you're dropping the material world in its entirety, which means you're dropping the job. You're gonna drop your emotional and intellectual reliance on your job, your body, your attractiveness, your uh, your skill set, the things that you
yeah.
think make you're going to discard. So that's why the idea of
It doesn't
freedom
mean those things go away.
doesn't mean they go away, but you become aware of these things influencing and orbiting your sense of okayness. And so you can't actually have freedom without death. The freedom that we've been talking about this whole time can't occur
And this,
without some sort of death.
yeah, and this in the sense that they'll probably be a real sense of losing something, or at least it'll appear that there will be a sense of like it looks like I will lose something by psychologically giving these things up, and it might feel like death to the person the self that owns these things or is holding on to these things. So like in that sense, it's like um, becoming free might look like just a series of losses, to like a losing streak to the ego.
That it could look like that.
There's no victory for the ego here. That's why it's difficult, because there's no letting go of a feeling. Doesn't feel like a win to the ego. It feels like a loss. It feels like I've given up personal power by not being angry at the line at Starbucks. But by being angry, I'm exercising my personal power. Although it makes you look so fucking powerless. There's nothing more powerless than someone getting mad at a long line. That is the most pathetic thing in existence. It is like,
Yeah, there's so many things that you could be upset about, and it's
story. Just that is everyone's story. No power, mad at things that don't matter, can't control anything. That's in a nutshell.
That's it. I wanted to make sure we tied this all in. I'm happy we were able to, because Peter could walk in here at any minute. That's why I keep looking to the door.
Oh, really?
He could show up any second. Like he's supposed to. Anyway, but I want to say this. This is a fun experiment you can try for anyone who's listening that I noticed yesterday, and I've noticed in the past. But when you're in conversation with someone and you have a thought, and it's an exciting thought, and you're like, ooh, but you're also aware that Reed's talking. So, and also let's let him finish this. And then I start to notice I'm trying to hold the thought.
Yeah.
Right? Letting that thought die and falling back into the complete unknown, because at this point, I don't know what Reed's saying. By this point, I'm actually not sure what he's talking about. And I'm going to have to re-enter this without anything. I had this thought I was holding on to, and I let myself let go of it. It can be scary and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's a death. That willing to die is that.
There was another part to the when we're talking about the people who, hear this kind of stuff and don't see it, or don't have, or have a negative reaction, or like will strongly disagree about what's real or not. Talking about the ability to see this and where it comes from.
Well, there's no way to know. It's like the ability to be Michael Jordan. Like there's just no way to know. Like,
well, I mean, I think that would be like one of the basic goals of meditation is to be able to start seeing, at least being able to see your thoughts, and therefore see that you're not the thoughts, or that the thoughts are something else, or the thoughts aren't all encompassing and real in the sense that you're real, or what you are is real, or what's around you is real. There's got to be some kind of break in the continuous experience of the story. Otherwise, the story is what's real. And hearing someone talk about the story might not even make sense, because you can't see the story. You're in the story. You're a character in the story. You're a character in the story being told by your mind. But obviously you're not. You have a mind, but we get sucked so far into the story for so long.
And you can't wake anyone up either. So like we're talking about this now. This makes sense what we're talking about. Whoever's listening, if they're still listening, it makes sense enough to continue to listen. But the moment this conversation is over, I mean, maybe but other people have different experiences. I can't talk about this stuff to anybody. Nobody's going to give a shit, or they're going to think I'm crazy, or they're going to laugh it off, or it's not going to matter. That's what I think is wild. Shit, we could start talking about the war in Iran right now. And there's
talk about that.
Well, it triggers the fear sensors, so people want to hear about it. What does he know? What that I don't know, right? But there's also a good portion of people that actually don't give a shit and don't want to hear anything about it.
Yeah.
There's people that it makes upset and angry. I mean, there could be somebody listening to this show right now who is like an ultimate master, who's transcended time and space and personhood to the fullest extent, and is just laughing hysterically at us trying to talk our way in or out of anything, completely entertained by the fact that these two people are doing anything at all. You just never know. Yeah. Or somebody's like completely refuting everything we're saying. There's also an opposite to everything we just said.
Yeah, I would like to hear the refutation of everything we said, because I don't think this is absolute truth or anything like that. I don't know what it is, but nor do I think it can be known. And it's definitely not known through concepts or the English language out of all languages. English is actually a terrible language for talking about spiritual or psychological or metaphysical topics. It's extremely limiting. Horrible language. It makes you say all kinds of weird sounding stuff because it just doesn't have words for anything that's not about like personal ownership or gain. I think that's a broad generalization. But
yeah, that, I mean, they couldn't. There couldn't be. Actually, I don't. I think out of context, somebody could take what we're saying and dispute it. But in context, it's a complete exploration. It's a complete discovery.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to, get clear too. It's not. I'm not saying this is truth or anyone's got to believe this. Really, it's stuff to look at. It's just questions. It's like, is this true? Like, is someone's going to see it or not in their own life? But like, I don't know how anyone else's brain operates. I just assume it's not too different from mine. I don't think anyone has like a significantly deviant psychology that it works on totally different systems. But it's contextual. Communication is contextual and relevant, and we're speaking within a belief framework now. Otherwise, there could be no shared understanding. So it's relative, and that's when you take metaphysical or spiritual conversations out of the relative context, it gets weird, and we start projecting these absolute truths, and then you get stuff like strict Advaita systems or whatever. I don't know.
All right, do this for me, Reed. I'm going to. We got a question. Peter just arrived. Will you answer this question and then close us out?
Someone was listening?
I mean, I decided not to look at anything while we were recording other than the chats that are appearing on screen that our listeners and watchers can see too. So I have not paid attention to anything other than what has actually been posted or chatted.
So at least one person was listening and had a question.
Yeah, he's got a question right now. Can I give it to you and you answer it while I go bring Peter in here?
Yeah, post it on the Google Meets.
I can't figure out how to, so I'm just going to share my screen so you can see it. How about that?
No, it's too small. Can you?
No, it's not.
Open Google Meets you're on Google Meets.
I can't, but I can't copy paste. I don't know how to do it right now. Listen, just look at this. Can you see it? You can see my screen, right?
It just says you are presenting.
What?
Yeah, well, I don't see a question anywhere.
Oh, really?
Dang.
Okay, well, let me text it to you then. That's the only way we can do this because...
High tech.
Yeah, I can't figure any of this stuff out right now. I'll have to figure this out later.
The listener is losing interest rapidly.
Oh, yeah, Peter's outside. Peter is literally outside right now.
Handle waiting.
No, I've got him on the Ring camera. He's doing golf swings.
Yeah, no. He is not one of the people we're talking about. That, yeah, he's okay. And he'll also get angry in the long line and be okay about it.
Oh, yeah. He's practicing his golf swing. All right. Let me send you this question so you can answer it and then close out the show while I protect Peter from the dogs. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'm texting it to you right now. Love you guys. Anyone who listened, anyone who's here. Brad, I love you. I've been thinking about you. I've been worried that you were deployed. I hope that because you're chatting, you're not, and you're still safe. I was thinking about you all week. Anyway, here's the question.
I have not received a question. Oh, wait, here it is.